Back speaking with Kerim Sener from Ariana Resources this morning on JustStocks. Kerim, morning. Welcome to JustStocks.
Good morning, Andrew. How are you?
Yeah, good, Kerim. Look, busy start to the year for you. Recently, this updated resource and reserve statement for Turkey, for Tavsan and Kiziltepe. Tell us a bit more.
Yes, well, this has been a substantial piece of work put together by our team and the Zenit Mining team, and they've been working on this for some months as we've completed the drilling programs that we were conducting over the last couple of years, in fact. But as we were bringing those to an end, particularly the drilling program at Kiziltepe, which I'll talk about further later in the interview. But specifically to tie in all the work that had been undertaken across both Kiziltepe sector and the Tavsan sector. Now, there's a substantial amount of drilling that's been undertaken over the last couple of years, and there were sequential drilling programs back to back and indeed contemporaneous drilling programs. So there's a huge amount of data coming into the teams. We were going through a process in the latter part of last year into this year to pull all of that together as a new resource model and then work on the updated resource and reserve. Now, where we've got to is it's a fantastic result. We're very pleased with the outcome. Reserves 5.3 million tons at about 1.5 grams per ton of gold, just shy of 10 grams per ton of silver, for a total of about 250,000 ounces of gold and 1.7 million ounces of silver. So what this equates to, looking at sort of nominal rate of production of about 25,000 ounces a year across the Zenit Mining Operations. So that's Kiziltepe sector and the Tavsan sector of around, as I said, 25,000 ounces per year. So that's about 10 years of total production. So it's a great outcome. Really pleased with that. And indeed, the resource update as well, demonstrating that there is potential to continue to add to the reserve base. And, that has particular consequence now as we've seen the gold price rise substantially in recent weeks. And, just a little earlier, I was looking at, we're at $2,347 an ounce, which is, a wonderful place to be. But, we've always taken a more conservative approach to the way that we've modeled our pits. The prior pits were being modeled at $1,800 an ounce. We recognize that that's, that does need to be revised. So the last revision that we did for the purposes of this resource announcement was at $2,000 an ounce. So we probably need to revise that again. And what that will tend to do is draw some of the JORC resources into reserve. Now, we haven't actually done that work. It's too soon after we completed the last resource and reserve statement, but it's certainly work that will continue to be undertaken, particularly by the Zenit Mining team, who are the operational team on the ground. So I think that the key takeaway here is that we've demonstrated that the Zenit Mining Operations have a substantial life ahead of them, both at the Kiziltepe CIL operation and at the Tavsan heap leach operation, which is due to come on stream in the latter part of this year. Notably, we're working on a plan to mine and truck some of the high-grade ore from Tavsan. So this is ore in the region of 2 to, let's say, maximum of about 4 grams per ton. Truck that material down to the Kiziltepe CIL plant because we have a higher gold and silver recovery off that plant than we would gain off the heap leach. And from an economic standpoint, it makes a huge amount of sense to take advantage of that opportunity. And I think this is the key thing for the combined operation, that we've got that operational flexibility between the CIL, capable of processing the higher grade ore, and the heap leach capable of processing the lower grade ore. So yes, a great outcome.
Tell us a bit more how the drill program went at Kiziltepe.
Yes, so we had completed a fairly substantial drilling program testing the 3 main veins at Kiziltepe during the course of last year. That program kicked off in around mid-year, and we completed around 3,500 meters of drilling. Most of that was infill drilling with some strike and depth extension drilling across those 3 veins. What's particularly important is that because of the increase in data density, we've been able to uplift the characterization of the ore body and to de-risk it substantially. So our understanding of the vein mineralization at Kiziltepe has improved dramatically. Now, what this has done, and actually maybe I'll just run through some of the results from the very latest drilling work. And this is particularly significant from an exploration standpoint because the results I'm going to quote come from one of the peripheral veins, so not the main vein, which we refer to as Zeki, but from some of the other vein areas. And one of those intercepts was about 17 meters at about 2 grams per ton of gold and 150 odd grams per ton of silver. And that was at relatively shallow depth, which is really quite important because that was a vein that had barely been drill tested before. We had an inferred resource on it. We're now able to characterize that vein better, bring that resource into indicated and indeed part of it into measured. But we're also seeing some very high grade hits on some of these veins. So one of the highest grades that we've seen, about 2 meter intercept at almost 31 grams per ton of gold and about 40 grams per ton of silver. So this is continuing to demonstrate that there is this further potential at the Kiziltepe deposit. And we're now working on all the work to do with the optimization of that resource, which has been done in part. As I mentioned, we were looking previously at $1,800 per ounce optimizations. We now have to revise that given the higher gold price. But the view is to mine and truck ore from Kiziltepe and bring it down to Kiziltepe, given those high grades of gold and silver.
And Kerim, where are we as far as this new gold project in Zimbabwe? Is the due diligence still continuing?
The due diligence is still continuing. We are substantially advanced. We completed the drilling program associated with the due diligence in February. That was for about 1,200 odd meters of diamond drill core from PQ all the way down to NQ drilling. So some of the deep holes that we drilled went down to NQ, so the smallest diameter, PQ being the largest diameter drill hole. The assay results are starting to come in now. So just around the time of Easter, the first results were coming in. We're in the process of compiling some of that information now and understanding that in the context of the due diligence. But all the other work that we've done, the technical work that's gone into assessing the historical data for the project, which is extensive. There's over 40,000 meters of high quality diamond drilling that's been undertaken on the Dokwe project. There is this established resource of about 1.3 million ounces at Dokwe, and we believe that there's scope to continue to grow that through further exploration based on what we've seen. And our analysis of the historical data has given us a huge amount of confidence. So as soon as we've got the results of the drilling that we've completed, and we've been able to merge that in with the broader data set and consider it that in that context, we'll be able to make our final determination on further work on the project and what form that will take.
And what about other exploration work happening within the Ariana portfolio?
Well, there's a huge amount on the go, really across the board. So from the work that's being undertaken by our Turkish team across the various projects, we haven't even touched on Sullenbush, but at the moment the drilling program there is on pause due to the bad weather conditions that have been experienced over there. But that's giving us time to get all the assay data back from the Kiziltepe lab. We'll start assessing all of that in due course. There's work obviously underway in Kosovo and indeed in North Macedonia through Western Tethyan. That's work that's being funded by Newmont as part of the Strategic Exploration Alliance. That alliance work also included the initial diamond drilling of a new discovery up near the Serbian border called Hertica. And we're hoping to provide an update to market in respect of the work that was undertaken there with Newmont. Other than that, we've obviously had further work and developments underway at Venus Minerals. I hope to be able to provide some further updates on that in due course. But really, the team have been busy across the board. And, we've got team members over in Zimbabwe at the moment. We've got team members, obviously, in Eastern Europe and Turkey. So we're very, very active.
And you mentioned the record gold price. You'd hope Ariana Resources will be a beneficiary of that this year.
I think we're starting to see that already. I mean, the first few gold sales of this year, they've gone through following the refining process in Istanbul, and we're seeing the benefits of those higher gold prices. So it's a great time, and long may it continue.
Yeah, good to see you, Kerim. Thanks for your time on
You too,
JustStocks.
Andrew. Yeah, thank you.